Thank you everyone for joining us as we go over information about our English as an additional language program at MacEwan's School of Continuing Education. My name is Eamon Ma and I'm the Associate Dean of SCE. I have with me Rosemary Matwee, who is our administrative support for the program. Our advisors are also here with us today and they will be able to answer your questions in the chat. But there will also be time at the end of the presentation if you have specific questions that were not answered along the way. MacEwan University is the second largest university in Edmonton, Alberta. We are right in the heart of downtown and we have almost 13,000 full-time students. The School of Continuing Education is located in MacEwan's newest building called Allard Hall, or Building 11, which was built in 2017. With brand new classrooms and technology. In this new building, there are student use meeting rooms, lots of formal and informal study spaces, computer common areas, and increased access to student services and clubs. MacEwan University has many different supports and services in place that all students are able to use. The Careers and Experience Center offers career guidance and job search advice. Students can access free counseling through MacEwan's wellness and psychological services. MacEwan's Access and Disability Resources is for students with disabilities who might need certain accommodations or supports. And we also have our own University Health Center where students can access physical and mental health care services. First, I want to explain the name of our program. English as an additional language. Yes, this is the same as ESL. We just have a different name. We recognize that English might not be the second language you're learning. It might be your fourth or fifth language. That's why we call our program English as an additional language, or EAL for short, rather than English as a second language, or ESL. But they are the same thing. Our ESL program is open to domestic and international students, and we offer a full range of English skill building courses to build your English language proficiency to meet your academic, personal, and professional goals. Students will require a very high level of English language proficiency to be successful in MacEwan's degree and diploma programs. University programs are competitive, fast-paced, and classes blend both international and domestic students. So it's very important for your academic English skills are well developed in order to be successful. In our EAL program, students have the opportunity to be immersed in a university-level environment with instructors that have experience with adult education. Not all pathways look the same for all students, but in general, students need to improve their English language proficiency skills first, and then improve their academic skills before moving into a degree or diploma program. Many of our students go on to post-secondary education here at MacEwan University, but also at the University of Alberta, NAIT, and elsewhere. We encourage you to look at your goal programs. For example, is it business or nursing? So that you know what language requirements and academic requirements are needed for that program. Your pathway will depend on your previous education and your current English language proficiency level, and each stage is intended to help you to move forward. All students have to meet a minimum English language proficiency requirement to be accepted into our EAL program. We will accept CLB scores of 5 in at least 2 skills with no skill under 4. The CLB test is a language assessment done at Catholic Social Services. Some of you might have already done the test. You can upload your CLB scores when you apply to the program, and again, you can't have anything lower than a 4 in 2 categories. So if you have 2 4s and 2 5s, that is okay. Some other students might be currently in a LINK program, maybe at Norquest or One World, One Center, or somewhere else. If you are finishing up LINK level 5, that is the level you need to be in our program. We'll also accept a 4.0 overall if you have done an IELTS test, or a 55 overall if you've done the online Duolingo test. The Duolingo test is being temporarily accepted due to COVID, but this might change in future terms. Once you apply to the program and submit your English scores, you will be placed into the EAL classes that match those scores. We have 5 levels in our English program, and each level we offer courses in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We also have courses that focus on a specific skill area, for example, pronunciation or grammar. Each level takes 1 term to complete, which is about 4 months. We have 3 terms per year: fall, winter, and spring, summer. So if a student is completing all 5 levels, it will take about 1.5 years to complete the full program. Students that want to attend full-time will take 3 classes per term. They'll take a reading, writing class, a listening and speaking class, and then you can choose one of the focus classes if there is a particular skill you'd like to improve on. Again, we have 5 levels in our EAL program, and students that successfully complete the 5th level, which is the highest level, will meet the English language proficiency requirement of most degree and diploma programs at MacEwan. All EAL classes have scheduled in person on campus. This is an example of what your schedule will look like. The speaking listening class is first at 9:30, followed by your optional class, followed by the reading writing class, which ends just before 2. Our classes are every day, Monday to Friday. Now I will pass it over to Rosemarie, and she will give you information about funding and how to apply.
Funding is available for students in the EAL program. It's called Foundational Learning Assistance, and all students have to apply for it from the government. And this is a grant funding, which means if you are approved for it, you do not have to pay it back. It's not the same as a student loan where you will have to pay it back when you're done. There are certain criteria you have to meet to be eligible. It's not guaranteed that all EAL students will be approved for funding. It will depend on if you're an international or domestic student and on your financial information you provide the government in your funding application. For example, it will depend on your savings, on your income, and on your monthly expenses and any childcare expenses you might have. You can visit the FLA website for more information and to see eligibility criteria. If you are approved for funding, this will cover the cost of tuition, fees, books, and supplies and possibly living expenses. If you are a funded student, you must be regularly attending your classes or your funding could be canceled. You also have to be doing well in your classes or your funding may not continue in future terms. Or domestic student and on your financial information you provide the government in your funding application. For example, it will depend on your savings, on your income, and on your monthly expenses and any childcare expenses you might have. You can visit the FLA website for more information and to see eligibility criteria. If you are approved for funding, this will cover the cost of tuition, fees, books, and supplies and possibly living expenses. If you are a funded student, you must be regularly attending your classes or your funding could be canceled. You also have to be doing well in your classes or your funding may not continue in future terms. You have to be a student in our program first. Once you're an active student, we will collect some information from you so that you can confirm your student enrollment for the government. Then the government will email you the link to your online funding application. Funding applications can be approved very quickly, but you will need a verified My Alberta Digital ID, MADI account to access the online funding application. If you don't have a MADI account, we recommend that you start this process right away because it will take up to 2 weeks for the government to verify your account. To verify your account, you will need an Alberta driver's license or an Alberta ID card if you don't drive. You need one of these pieces of photo identification to prove that you're a resident of Alberta. You won't be able to use your passport or your PR card to verify your MADI account. It has to be a driver's license or Alberta ID card. And it is up to date with your current address. So there are lots of little steps you can do now so that you're ready to go once the funding applications open. These are the current tuition and fees for domestic students. In addition to the tuition amounts that you see in the table, students also have to pay term fees, which include things like sports and wellness fees, a student association fee, and an information technology fee. These term fees are about $500 per term, so the total cost for 3 courses is about $2,700. This is why government funding is so important, because the tuition is very expensive and it's difficult for students to pay this amount every term. But if you are approved for funding, then these costs will be covered. When you are ready to apply, you can visit our website at mcewen.ca/EAL and select the admissions in the top drop-down navigation menu. Here you can also double-check the admission requirements for the EAL program and other important information. All applications to EAL are completed right through our website, and when you apply now at the bottom of the page, you can start the application process. And just be aware that there is an application fee of $110 that you have to pay when you apply. After you submit your application, we will be sent instructions how to log into your McEwen student portal so that you can track the status of your application. If you don't receive these instructions, please contact us. These instructions will be emailed to your personal email address, but after all information will be sent to your new McEwen email account. It is very important that you know how to access your McEwen email. Once you're accepted to the program, we will contact you to let you know what level you start at, and this will be based on the scores you submitted with your application. Then we will register you for your classes, and then we will collect some information from you so you can apply for funding. Important dates and deadlines for the fall term. The application deadline for fall is August 31st. September 1st is our deadline for funding, which means we will not confirm any more students' enrollments for the government after September 1st. This is subject to change based on how much funding is left, so it's always best to apply early. In other words, do not wait until the very last day to apply for funding. Classes also begin on September 6th. This is the last day of classes is December 8th, and then final exams are the following week and will be finished on December 17th. The tuition payment deadline for fall is September 29th. If you have applied for funding but haven't received a decision by this date, you will need to pay the tuition amount yourself or set up a payment plan. If when you are approved, the government will refund any tuition amounts paid. If your funding is already approved by the tuition deadline, then your tuition and fees will be automatically be paid by Foundational Learning Assistance. We have a dedicated team to help our ESL students, so please contact us if you have any questions. If you call us and leave us a message, be sure to leave us your name and phone number so we can call you back. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for joining us today. We now have lots of time to answer any questions.